I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
That was President Trump with a stern message to the CEO of Bank of America, Brian Moynihan, at the World Economic Forum on Thursday in Davos, Switzerland, suggesting that the financial giant is debanking conservatives. In a statement to Fox Business, Bank of America pushed back, saying, quote, "We serve more than 70 million clients, and we welcome conservatives. We are required to follow extensive government rules and regulations that sometimes result in decisions to exit client relationships. We never close accounts for political reasons and do not have a political litmus test." Now, last year, 15 state attorneys general sent a letter to Moynihan accusing the lender of debanking some individuals for their religious or political identities, writing this: "Your discriminatory behavior is a serious threat to free speech and religious freedom. It is potentially illegal and causing political and regulatory backlash." And this past fall, First Lady Melania Trump told me exclusively that she herself was debanked by another bank after leaving the Oval Office back in 2021. Watch.
But later on, more when we left the White House, when I established my own business, as you said, the bank suddenly informed me they will not be able to do business with me anymore. They didn't want to do business with me because of political affiliation, my political beliefs.
The bank, I believe, the First Lady was referring to in that interview with me in October was not one of the majors. It was a smaller bank. We're getting into it now. Joining me now is the chairman of the Oversight Committee, Chairman Congressman James Comer. Mr. Chairman, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. Are you investigating whether or not U.S. banks are debanking conservatives?
Yes, we are. We've heard numerous instances of conservatives being debanked. And what we want to know is this a process of the bank's ESG policy? Is this our government stepping in, like what we found with Twitter and Facebook, where the government stepped in and said they wanted certain conservatives deplatformed and censored and certain conservative content removed? We want to know, again, is this the government involvement? Another dirty trick by Joe Biden's administration, or is this just bad liberal policy that discriminates against conservatives by the banks?
Wow. So you have evidence of some banks debanking conservatives?
Yes, especially people that were involved in different energy-type businesses and things like that, as well as very well-spoken or outspoken conservative activists. So there are numerous instances, enough to open an investigation. Again, is this ESG policy, which is discriminatory? And ironically, the Democrats have passed all this banking legislation that prohibits discrimination. Is this discriminatory because of ESG, or is it the government? Are the bank examiners, as President Trump hinted in his remarks you played earlier, are these bank examiners with a wink and a nod saying, don't let this person bank at your bank?
Well, this is a very important question, because we know what happened with social media. 1,000 people from government agencies were working with social media to censor Americans and censor conservatives, certainly. What will be the impact to these banks? What should these banks expect in the coming months from your office?
Well, they're going to be asked a lot of questions, and I will say this for the banks. During the Biden influence peddling investigation, the banks were the one entity that did cooperate with us. So I expect that the banks will cooperate with our questions, and hopefully we can get some answers. Number one, find out if our government was involved in this, if this is another side operation by the Biden administration where they were attacking conservatives. At the very least, we want to change this. You know, we're not talking about debanking, meaning they denied a loan. That happens every day in the banking world. This is just opening up savings accounts and checking accounts. I mean, this is unheard of to do this, and it's against the law. The laws, ironically, that the Democrats created against discrimination.
Okay, let me move on to the pardons because it was 20 minutes before President Trump was sworn in on Monday. It was 20 minutes to 12 on January 20th when President Biden announced he was pardoning siblings. Minutes before leaving the White House, the pardon applies to James Biden, his brother, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John Owens, Francis Biden. The White House announced that his family could be subject to, quote, politically motivated investigations after he leaves office. Your reaction?
This is an admission of guilt by Joe Biden. Everybody in America knows it. We said early on in the investigation, I went on your show many times, Maria, and you were one of the heroes that allowed me to have a platform to give the American people the truth, that 10 different Biden family members were involved in receiving incremental payments that had been laundered through a series of shell companies. He's pardoned 6 of them. He's pardoned 6 of those family members right here, including the 5 he pardoned at the last minute, and then his son, Hunter Biden. Again, this is an admission of guilt. Why would Joe Biden do this in the very last act when he knew the media would be focused on Trump's swearing in and all of that? He didn't have the courage or the guts to have a press conference to announce it. And he said he was worried about investigations. The only investigation in the world that ever mentioned those spouses was our House Oversight Committee investigation that listed the 10 different family members that received incremental payments.
Well, Congressman, you did a very good job. You identified the bank statements, you identified whistleblowers, and you did a very deep investigation. We all covered it. Thank you for the compliment. You wrote a book about it, All the President's Money, by James Comer, which is out now. Congratulations on the book. But I've got to tell you, my audience is a little disappointed. So with these pardons, should we just expect, after all that work you put into it, after all the conversations we've had, they got away with it?
I certainly hope not. The ball's going to be in Pam Bondi's court. We're communicating with her people right now. I've had a good meeting with Kash Patel. One thing I'm confident is going to happen, and you saw that with John Radcliffe, we're going to hold people in the government accountable that were involved in the cover-up. He's already held the 51 intelligence officials that lied to the American people when they said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, when most of them, in fact, knew that it was not Russian disinformation. Now we want to get the people that were involved in the cover-ups, because what we found in our investigation, and I write about it extensively in my book, is that there were 4 different agencies investigating the Bidens: the IRS, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Securities and Exchange Commission. And obviously they wanted to get to Joe Biden because none of this money would be coming into the president's son or brother were it not for Joe Biden. Every time they got ready to ask Joe Biden, they were told to stand down by a deep state actor. I want those people held accountable. And then with respect to the Bidens, I don't think these preemptive pardons would hold up in court. I would like to see a jury that would be sympathetic to what he said. We're pardoning you for anything you may have done over the past decade pertaining to influence peddling. That's baloney, and no jury in America would buy that, in my opinion.
So you think the preemptive pardons are not legitimate?
I don't, but there are a lot better legal minds than mine, I'm sure. But, I don't think the average person that works hard and pays taxes has much sympathy for a president that in his last act in office pardoned his entire family for financial public corruption and didn't have the guts to tell anybody why he did it.
Sir, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much. We so appreciate your time. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.